Are you looking for those small yet somewhat essential hiking gear items that could make a huge difference to the comfort level of your next adventure, or even just to the organizational setup of your next adventure? In this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 little bits of hiking gear that I absolutely love and often prove indispensable when I'm out on a hike. Stick around because these little items may just slightly change your whole hiking setup. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mauser here, and if you're new here, then welcome aboard. Like I said, I'm Mauser and I've spent over 30 years hiking both in Tasmania and all over the world. And today I'm excited to share with you some of my favorite pieces of gear that, while small, have had a big impact on my overall hiking experience and comfort levels. Whether you are a seasoned hiker or just starting out, these items can enhance your comfort, convenience, organization, and overall enjoyment on the trail and when you're at camp. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Let's go. Now, the first bit of gear on this list that I absolutely love, I've been taking it everywhere with me for at least the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and it is a little lantern that I take on pretty much every walk called the Goal Zero Lighthouse Micro. Now, this compact little rechargeable lantern is absolutely perfect for illuminating a hut at night time or even your tent or campsite. It's lightweight, it's durable, and it packs a bit of a punch. 170 lumens of light. That's a few lumens, not too many lumens, but just the right amount. And it actually, when you've got it turned on, it kind of feels like a bit brighter than 170 lumens. Now, I've got a few of these because when we go car camping, that sort of thing with the kids, they are just absolutely dynamite. They are fantastic. You've got the micro charge, which is one where you can actually charge your phone from it if you needed to. It's got a USB spot there. You can plug a cord into that and charge your phone off it's about 2000 milliamps. It is 2600 milliamp hour battery in there, so you get a bit of charge for your phone if you needed it. Or you've just got the micro flash, which doesn't have the chargeability option. It's just got the charging port, so you can charge the light there. The other thing I do like about the micro charge with the charging port, in addition to being a lantern like this one, which has the lantern functionality, this one also has a torch like that. So you could use that as a sole torch, as a lamp if you needed to. I also take a little head torch, but it's got that. Then you've got the lantern option as well. I carry a little carabiner on there like that, and it hangs up in a hut beautifully. Only this time last week I had it in a hut with about 13 other hikers, and there was no lighting or anything in this hut. It was very dark, and I was the only one that had a lantern with me. I had this with me, and I hung it up in the hut just on a rafter in the roof, and it illuminated the entire hut while we sat down and ate dinner that night. It was fantastic and very much welcomed that I brought it on that trip. The run time on this thing is absolutely fantastic. I've never had it run flat on a trip, and I take it on 8-9 day trips, and I find that I have plenty of charge in it. When you do turn it on, you can hold the button in on the top, and that will just reduce the amount of light it's giving off. So I normally turn it down a little bit, so I'm saving some battery. And I used this for an entire week last week on a winter trip, and it's still got 1 bar of energy left in there. I haven't charged it yet, so that is still going really well. And according to the product specifications of this Goal Zero Micro Lighthouse, whatever it's called, it says that when one side is lit, so you can actually just light up one side of the torch like that is now. When it's lit up on one side, you can get 170 hours on the low setting, 15 hours on the high setting. When both sides are lit, you can get 80 hours on the low setting and 7 hours on the high setting. And when you've got the flashlight going on the front, you can get 100 hours on low and 8.5 hours on high. That is pretty amazing battery life, and I would agree with those settings. I've never had it run flat, like I said, and it's certainly, I was really disappointed earlier in the year when I actually forgot this. I left it behind on my desk. It was charging just before we left on a trip, and I left it behind, and I did miss it on that trip. Weighs very little. The charge weighs this much, and the micro, this one, weighs this much. Look, they are a pretty light item to take. They are a bit of a luxury, but it's something that comes on every trip with me if I remember it. And when combined with my very light head torch, we're talking maybe 100 grams, slightly over, for the entire lighting setup for each of my trips. Now, while we're on the subject of lighting, it's another thing that comes on every single trip. It's been coming for around 7 years for me, at least, this little headlamp, and it's my favorite. I've talked about it before, but it's the Petzl Bindi, and it's just one of those things I love to have with me. I mean, you need a head torch when you're going on a trip, but this thing is more than adequate. It only weighs this much. It's extremely light, and I nearly, on my last trip last week when I was out on Tasmania's overland track in the winter, in the snow, in the dark, dark, I was thinking of taking a bigger head torch, but I ended up taking this, and I'm glad I did. And I tested it out a little bit at night time while I was outside, and when it's on full high beam, the power this thing gives out is pretty amazing. It's well and truly enough to light up the track if I had to walk for an hour or so at night time. It's extremely lightweight, and it fits on the head very nicely, packs away very small, and I am just a huge fan of this headlamp. Now, mine does weigh just 35 grams. I mean, that is ridiculous in this day and age. You can get a little head torch that gives you great illumination. It's got 200 lumens of light from memory, and why would you need anything else? Why would you get a different head torch? I think this is probably the best head torch for the hiking I do. It's got the multiple lighting modes, so it's got the dim mode, it's got the high beam mode, and the super high beam. That's what I call them anyway. You can also get the red light mode, so that's good for when you're in a hut at night with lots of people and you're the last one to bed, or you've got to get up. You can put this on and still see what you're doing. That's what I use it for. I also use it for photography when I'm out shooting at night, so that red light mode is good too. You just hold in the button on the top to do that, and then it will turn back on as well, and you just hold it in to deactivate it. Great little torch, the Petzl Bindi. Oh, and another quick point with the Bindi, you will get an indication of when the battery is running low, so that's been in use for a week. It's going red now, which I believe indicates that it is running lower on battery. It goes yellow when it's starting to run low, it's green when it's all good still, and it's fully charged. So next up, and it's a newer item in the kit this year for me, I have used several of these types of things before, but this one is the Flextail Zero pump. Now, this tiny pump is a game changer for inflating your sleeping pad, your sleeping mat, whatever it may be, including your pillow as well. And while I did used to use the Flextail Zero pump, I think it was, no, it's not, this is the Flextail Zero pump. What was it called? What was it called? It was just called the Flextail pump. This is the Flextail Zero pump. I love this thing. Started using it at the start of this year, and it hasn't let me down yet. We took this on a 9-day trip between two of us and inflated our pads every day, including our pillows as well, between the two of us, and for 35 grams, which is 1.2 ounces roughly. It is fantastic, little lightweight pump with these different connections that come, and it inflates a full-size sleeping pad very quickly. You're only talking a minute or two and it's done. I again used this last week, really liked it. It's lightweight, it weighs nothing, and it just is great for when you get to your campsite or to your hut or to wherever you're going to that night to be able to easily inflate your pad. It can save you a bit of breath and effort at the end of a long day's hiking. In addition to that, it does double as a vacuum pump, so if you want to quickly deflate your pad, you can use it as a vacuum as well. So I've seen some people use it to vacuum sort of seal clothing bags. I don't use it so much for that, and generally I find this will get it to a nice level. It might need just one breath due to the pressure that this can pump at, but it might need to just give one breath into the sleeping pad, but generally I find it's pretty good for me, and something that will always come on every trip with me. That is the Flextail Zero pump. Next on my favorite little items hit list is my Hydrapak Flux drink bottle flask. Again, I've had this for quite a few years now. I just love its packability, compressibility. It's something I like to take. I like to take a drink bottle that packs down, because generally I'm drinking from a water bladder, but when I want to mix up my electrolytes or something of an evening, I just like to have this thing. It packs down to nothing inside my pack. It generally sits in the front pocket of my pack, and I just pack it down like so in my pack, nice and compact, weighs very little. At 80 grams, it's just a great little drink bottle that I like to take. I mix up my electrolytes, just have it sitting next to me in the tent or in my bunk when I am hiking, and it just sort of sits there like that. And then if I haven't finished, I just keep it in the side of my pack next day and have it there as a drink bottle as well. Some people prefer just a regular plastic bottle. I realise that, but this has been a great little thing that I take. I never used to take a drink bottle, always used to rely on the bladders, and it's just something that packs down. I like stuff that packs down to very little, and that's the Hydrapak Flux Flask, and that's a 1 litre bottle. It's very easy to clean. It's got a wide mouth to fill up. It's got measurements on the side, BPA free, top rack safe in the dishwasher. I did not know that. I normally just hand wash it, and they've got a no leak guarantee. I don't know what that means, but I assume if it leaks, they come to the party and replace it or something. Don't know. But anyway, that is a great little flask, and yeah, that's going to be going for a long time. It's already been going for a few years. Love the Hydrapak Flask. Next item on my favourite little bits of hiking gear list. Well, I've got to store this stuff in something. You know, I've got my little pump, I've got my little lantern, I've got my little head torch. You need something to store this in. I don't like stuff loose through my pack. I use a Hyperlight pack most of the time. There's no external pockets or anything, so you do need to be kind of organised in there. And to do that, I've got these little Dyneema pouches from a place called Mountain Laurel Designs in the States, but you can get these at all sorts of outdoor online sort of boutique Gear Makers. This is one I bought a few years ago, but it's just a Dyneema pouch. You can even buy kits to make this stuff yourself, but I have this on every trip. I've had it on every trip for the last 5 years, and all my stuff like that goes in this little pouch and sits near the top of my pack, so it's a quick access. I'll also put things like my spoon, I'll put things like my sunglasses case, all that kind of stuff can go into this pouch. It's waterproof, and it can sit in there pretty loosely. It's got great zippers, waterproof zippers. This one is getting very worn now because I've just used it so much, but I just absolutely love it. I have two of them. I've got one that I generally put my camera gear in, and then I've got one just for all my other bits and pieces. They have quite a bit of size to them. They do make it slightly different looking style now. I will leave links to all this stuff below, but that is a great pouch. That one is getting quite worn, but gee, it's been good. It just sits at the top of my pack. When I open my pack up, it's there. I know what's in there, and I can easily access all my stuff, and it does make a difference to me in my organisation when I'm on the trail. Now, as you all probably know, Dyneema is a very lightweight fabric. It's very strong, and it is also waterproof, which makes it really good for when you're out hiking in the rain and on the trail. Now, on that note, before the next item, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that like button down below, hit the subscribe button, and hit that little bell icon to get notified of when the next video drops in our weekly videos on all things hiking. You can even sign up to my newsletter either by scanning the QR code there or the link down below. So do sign up to that. We're going to be having the newsletter coming out a bit more regularly. I'm going to get my stuff together, and we're going to get that happening a bit regularly with some great tips, tricks, all that sort of stuff. And we do have a new product coming soon. It's going to be a little beginner's hiking 101 little course or an ebook sort of setup, which is going to be available to purchase to help support the channel. That is coming soon. So sign up to newsletter if you want to find out when that drops, and you'll be notified. But without further ado, let's move on to the next item in my favorite little bits of hiking kit list items stuff. And next up, well, while we're on the subject of little ditty bags, that's what I called those last ones, ditty bags, that's what they're called. We're also going to talk Dyneema pockets and pouches, and it's something that I absolutely love when I'm on the trail. When I'm hiking along, I like to have access to my phone because it's my main photography tool when I'm out there, my main video tool. I like to be able to have quick access to the phone and just pull it out and take some photos, take some snaps, in addition to being able to sort of have a look on the map on the GPS app of my choice, knowing where I am and that sort of thing. And well, I've used a couple of different pouches. My old favorite is the Hyperlight Mountain Gear shoulder pouch. Just sits on the strap just here of the pack, and it's very easily open. I can sort of open this with one hand quite easily, whip my phone out very quickly. So I can just sort of do that very quickly and pop it back in. It's a waterproof pouch. It's very light, very thin. It's got another little bit on the front there. So if I wanted to, for example, put a pen or something in there, if I had to, I could sit that there. If I'm taking some notes about something maybe, I could do that as well. But that is a great little pouch. I have also recently been trying the Chicken Tramper Ultralight Gear shoulder pouch. Now they've got a couple of different ones. This one is, it's not their phone pouch. So they do have a separate phone pouch. This is just their shoulder pouch, which is a bit bigger than the Hyperlight one. I probably wouldn't use this for the phone. I have used it for my phone, but it's a bit harder to get your phone out quickly, I find, and to zip up. I use this more for putting snacks, that sort of thing in, sunglasses. It is very lightweight. Again, I think it's a Dyneema, or it's a waterproof fabric anyway, and it's probably around the same weight, maybe a little bit lighter than the Hyperlight. And another good one, if I had to pick one for phone usage at this stage, it's going to be the Hyperlight one. I just prefer it. I think it's easy to get the phone out. The only criticism with the Hyperlight shoulder pocket is these clips can come undone. I know when I was traversing along a big rocky spine of a range earlier this year, there was a lot of scrambling, a lot of rocks, and it'd push in and undo like it's just done there. That would undo whenever it got a bit of pressure on it. That's not a problem with the Chicken Tramper ones. Their clips are different, and they are very solid, very hard to get undone once you've got them done up, which isn't a bad thing, but they lock in and it's just not coming undone. So anyway, that's a small detail, but shoulder pouch comes on every trip, absolutely. And this stuff, while it's not all necessary stuff you'd need to take on every trip, it's stuff that I take that doesn't really weigh much, and it just makes all the difference when I'm out there. It's stuff that makes things more convenient, more easily accessible, and the trip on the whole a little bit more comfortable. And that's where this next item comes in. When we're talking comfort on a trip, it is extremely rare for me not to take this item, and it is my Exped camp slippers. Now, after a long day of hiking, slipping into a nice dry pair of socks and some camp slippers when you're at camp, when you're at a hut, wherever you may be finishing the day, these are absolutely wonderful. My feet can stay dry in them. I can walk around on fairly wet ground and my feet don't get wet in these things. And at 188 grams for the pair, I think they're pretty good value. I had spent a lot of time over the years trying to find the perfect camp slippers. I do like to wear camp slippers when I'm around at camp, and these certainly fit the bill. I've had these since around 2019, had them 5 years, and they're still going really strong. They are in excellent condition, starting to show a bit of signs of wear on the labelling and that sort of thing now, but they've got a long time left in them yet. And again, I had them on this trip last week and wore them around outside in the wet. It was raining a lot, there was snow around, and my feet didn't get wet in them. When we finished the trip, my boots were pretty wet and I took them off and I walked around for the next couple of hours at the end of the walk around where we finished just in these, and I thought my feet would get wet because I was outside for a fair while in them, and they stayed dry. If you can still buy them, I'll leave a link to them below as well. And on that note, any links below may be affiliate links. I may get a commission if you purchase through those links, but that does also help support the channel, so thanks if you do. Now, next up, I know we've spoken about ditty bags, shoulder pockets, that sort of thing, but these ones are a newer addition to my kit and I absolutely love them. I used to carry all my food in sort of Cedar Summit or Ultrasil dry sacks, those long sort of 10 litre ones. You can get 8 litre ones, 13 litre ones, and while they're great for storing food in, I'd normally take 2 or 3 on a trip, on an 8 or 9 day trip. You'd have to get all the stuff out to find where your stuff was, but I did recently discover these from an Australian company called Ultralight Hiker, who make these food bags specifically for storing the food in, and they are fantastic. I love these things because you can see what is in them. You can easily open them up at the top and have a look down in there. They've got the bigger size here. On my trip last week for a 6-day trip, I took 2 of these. One basically had my breakfasts and dinners in it. The other one had all my snacks, my lunches and all that stuff in it. And it's a nice big bag. So I get all my food in there, sit it down the back of the pack, and it just fits in nicely, and I don't need to get everything out to find stuff. I can easily, got a very wide mouth opening on the top there, so I can easily look in there and find the stuff I need. Again, it is Dyneema. It's got a roll top closure and it just rolls up like so. And they're very sturdy, very durable. Highly recommend these. If you're going hiking a lot, these bags make a big difference to your food storage and how you store your food. A lot of people just use plastic bags, which is fine, but I do like these. They're Australian made too, by an Australian boutique company, Ultralight Hiker. Again, I'm an affiliate, so if you purchase from them, I would potentially get a commission, but I wouldn't recommend this stuff if I didn't think it wasn't good, and this stuff certainly is awesome. I love it, so I'd highly recommend them. I'm going to be using them for many years to come. I've actually got 3 of them, and yeah, I kind of get excited about when I find new stuff like this. You know, they're a good one. And because they are Dyneema, they weigh very little. The large one, which is massive, you could fit easily 3 or 4 days worth of food, if not more, probably 6 days food if you had to. That weighs 37 grams. So that's 37 grams, and that one's 34 grams according to my scale. So super light for some very convenient food storage. Next we get to number 9 on this hit list of favorite little items that I love to take hiking. And this one is very simple, but this spoon, it's my titanium spoon. I mean, that thing comes on every trip. It's getting a bit bent and stuff. I've got a couple, but when you're eating freeze-dried meals or you're eating out of a bag, something like that, these just make life a whole lot easier. And a long-handled spoon is great. I used to take always a short little plastic, you know, those little plastic ones you see on the counter at outdoor gear shops. I'd break one every trip, but since I've had this the last few years, it has made just that nice little bit of difference to when I'm eating a meal. Makes things easier, it doesn't break, and it just keeps going and going. It's a very strong little spoon, and well, there's not much else you can say. It's light. This one weighs 18 grams. They are very light. You can get them just about anywhere. This one was a Mountain Laurel Designs one, but yeah, they're making them everywhere now since I've had this one for about 4 or 5 years, and I highly recommend a titanium spoon if you are hiking regularly. They just live in my little ditty bag there as well. It goes in there with all that other stuff, and I can easily locate it whenever I need it. And the final little item on this favorite little bits of gear list that I've been raving on about today, well, this one's probably my favorite. For a simple person such as myself, a simple thing like this makes all the difference. And this is the MSR Alpine Camping Salt and Pepper Shaker. Now, you're probably laughing at me going, salt and pepper shaker. But this thing, it weighs nothing. It is tiny. Look at that. It's tiny, and it's got my little supply of salt and pepper that I can sprinkle on every meal. I'll get this out pretty much for every meal except breakfast. I'll have my little salt and pepper, it just pops open there, and you just look at that. It's beautiful. It's a bit of salt and pepper on your dinner. This makes a huge difference when you're out, you're miserable after being wet in the rain all day. Bit of salt and pepper on your meal. It's just beautiful. It's compact, it's durable, and it keeps your herbs and spices. I mean, you don't have to use salt and pepper in this. You can put it in there whatever you like. If you're an oregano guy, you can put a bit of oregano in there. If you want a bit of turmeric in your coffee, you can put some turmeric in there too. It's a great little device. I don't even know where I got this. I think I got it in a kit. You can buy them separately online, but yeah, it's just something that comes on every single trip. It's always there, and you know, when I pull it out at dinner and say, would you like some salt and pepper with your meal? Everyone normally goes, oh, that sounds like actually quite a nice idea. So it's one of my favorite little things to take on a trip. Weighs nothing, and it's a bit of fun, and it adds taste and flavor to your meal. And also, I'd love to know, have you got any little bits of hiking gear you love to take hiking? Any little favorite little tidbits or anything that you like that just makes all that difference? Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. And if this video has built up a bit of a thirst for more Mauser YouTube hiking fun, then check out this video where I go into a few more tips. These ones are uncommon hiking tips that you may find useful on the trail.